Hello and welcome. Today we're working on Excel Basics Exercise 7, the second half, so 7B. We're going to show you how to extract text in Excel. You may not know this, but Excel is excellent at handling text, how to pull text from the first part of the string or the middle or the last. So we'll use functions like left, right, mid, things like that. Let's get started. My name is Jeff from Finally Learn. I help you finally learn financial literacy, including Excel. So here is our data set. We have all sorts of information we've extracted maybe from a computerized system, and we have the state and zip together, sales rep, and so on. And we're going to create a table where it pulls just the state and the zip code and the first name and last name and so on. And I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to use functions like left and right and search and mid and so on. So let's get started. I'm going to get rid of all this data. So we're just going to show you where we're going with it. By the way, down here I use a little function called FORMULATEXT. A lot of people don't know about FORMULATEXT. It just shows whatever's in the cell. So I have one built for each of the top cell in each column. So the state, when we build it, we can see what the state formula is. So when I click off of it, you can still see what that formula is. Now we're going to use, I put a little helper information, little hints at the very top. We're going to use the left function. So the left function just pulls the TN or the GA for Tennessee and Georgia. So let's do the left. I'm going to point to the first cell. And let me just pick 5. What if we pick the number of characters to the left starts with 1, and we pick 5 characters. We'll have to pull TN-37. So that's 5 characters. We don't want all that. We only want 2 characters. So done. So we'll copy all the way down. And we have each of the states. So TN, GA, TX for Tennessee, Georgia, and Texas, and so on. So we have just that information. Now, that is the formula. The very first formula is left, point to the first cell, and then 2 decimals, or 2 characters, I guess I should say. Now, for the zip code, we do the same thing, except it's a right function. We want the right 5 characters. So let's search for right. So right, we're going to point to that cell, and let's pick 4. What if we had 4 characters? It's only going to pick up the 7215. We need 5 characters or 5 decimals here in this case. So it pulls the zip code and then all the way down. So there's our zip code, there's our state. So we easily extract because we know exactly how many characters the state abbreviation is, or how many characters, how many letters, numbers rather, the zip code is. It's 5. Now, what if we have a challenge like first name space last name? Well, the problem is we can't just pick 5, we can't pick 6 or whatever. Let me show you what the problem is, and we're going to build in a search to dynamically figure out how large the first name is. So we're going to go back to our left function. So left, we need text. We're going to point to Peter Parker as a sales rep. We want just Peter. And so let's arbitrarily pick, let's say 6 characters. It picks Peter and then a space. And if we copy that down, what's going to happen? Well, Wade Watts has Wade is 4 characters, and then a space is character 5. W is 6. So it pulls too many. So if we say, wait a minute, we need to pull less, we go back and we can do 4. Well, it's not going to get all of Peter Parker. It's going to make it Pete. And so this is not acceptable. We have to have a way we can dynamically figure out where the space is. And the way we're going to do that is with a search function. So the search function, if we just did a search function, let me do it right here, search, and we need to find text. So we're going to find a space. I'm going to put double quote, space, double quote. Within the text, Peter Parker, I need to put in a comma here, comma. within the text Peter Parker, and we'll start at character 1 on the left. And so what does it return? It returns a 6. So what does that mean? Peter is 5 characters, the space is 6. So if we search for the space, it returns a 6 because it's the 6th character over. So now we can put that in our formula. We can edit, instead of the 4 or the 5 or the 6, we're going to let it do a search function. Search, start our parentheses, and I'm going to close parentheses because I always forget about closing that parentheses. So now I can use my formula builder. I can use my formula builder that says search for the space. Now if I'm using the formula builder, I can just hit space and then go to the next box, and it'll automatically put double quotes in it. So I like using the formula builder as much as I can. The text is Peter Parker, that's cell B3, and we'll start at number 1. Okay, now if we hit done, then this has, let's check our work. We have B3 is Peter Parker, 6 characters, and so it returns Peter and a space. So it includes the space because that is character 6 is the space, and then it takes the first 6 characters to the left. Well, we want to take out the space, so we'll go back and edit this. -1 will be -1, so it returns only Peter. And let's see how it performs if we copy it down. If we copy it down, then we have Wade, that's only 4 characters. Clark is 5 characters. Mickey is 6 characters, and so on. Diana is 5 characters. So what we've done is we've calculated where the space is, take out the space. So we have the number of characters for Peter is 5. With a search function, we can do this. So that's how you do it. So let's look at our formula here. It's the left function, point to Peter Parker. We're going to search for the space. That's going to return the 6 -1. So Peter is only 5 characters wide. All right, so we do the same thing for last name, except we have a challenge. People's first name and the space is not in the same place every time. So we're going to have to do the length and then a search. The length is going to tell how big the characters are. So let's look at Peter Parker. Peter is 5, and then 6 is the space, and then Parker is 6. So the length of the entire one, Peter Parker, is 12 characters, minus where the 6 is, the space, would give Parker is 6 characters to the right. So we're going to do right function with a length minus the search. So let's go ahead and do the right function. So right, we're going to search for right. We're going to look for Peter Parker. And I'm just going to put in 6, because that's what would happen, right? And we can copy it down. It's not going to work if we copy that down. So we need to make a length minus a search for the space to be in place of what that 6 would be. So I'm going to edit here. So I'm going to put length, L-E-N is the length function. And I'm going to go ahead and start my parentheses and close my parentheses so I can use my formula builder. Formula builder is just going to be Peter Parker. What is the length of the Peter Parker? Well, if we hit done, then it's just going to pull everything. It's going to pull 12 characters, which is Peter space Parker. That's exactly 12 characters. Now, we want to go back and edit this. The number of characters, we can go back and edit. After the length, we're going to subtract out a search. So start my parentheses. I'm going to close my parentheses. So then I'm going to go back into the parentheses on search. So I can use this. I'm in the search function, and I can do it just like normal. So that's an easier way to build the formulas rather than type it in the way we used to have to do it. I think this is an easy way, and also an easy way to show if you're just learning. So we're going to find what text? I'm going to find a space. It'll put double quotes here. Within the text, Peter Parker. And we'll start at number 1. So that's going to return 6, right? You know it's going to return where the space is space 6. So here we have Peter Parker. That would be 12 minus 6 gives us the answer 6. So it returns to the right, 6 characters, and let's copy it down. And what we'll have is it's going to perfectly work. Watts is only 5 characters. Kent is only 4. So it does the length of Clark space Kent minus where the space is, and you get characters, 4 characters for Kent. Kent is 4 characters, that's all we need. All right, we're going to do the same thing for product. So let's look at what we have. We have a cell that has a product name, a space, a slash, a space, and then a region, and then a colon, and a space, and then a number. That would be like some kind of amount or a sales amount possibly. So we need to figure out the product. And so we're going to do a left function, very similar to what we did on the first name. So left. So I'm going to point to Peter Parker, Crest, and number of characters. Let's just pick 6. So if we did 6, it'd be Crest, space, that would be 6 characters. And if we copied that down, that would not be correct, right? So we want to do a search for, now if we search for the space, I'm not sure how that one works. If it returns the first space, we can test it, but I know it'll work if we did it based on the slash. There's only 1 slash, we don't have to worry about that. So let's go back and edit the 6. We'll do a search. And we probably could search for a space and then a slash, but let's just do a search for just the slash. Make it easy as possible. We're going to search for a slash within the text, Crest Midwest, and we'll start at number 1. Okay, so here we have the number of characters. So the crest is 5, the first space is 6, and the slash is at position 7. Now it's going to return crest space slash. And we don't want to return the space and the slash, so we're going to have to subtract 2. So right here on the number of characters, just subtract 2, and we'll be done here. And it just returns crest. And we can copy this down, and it's going to return just the name. So Aspen is 5 digits, Yarn is 4, but look at the ones down at the bottom. Yazoo City is 9, and Henderson is 9. So we've dynamically figured out where that slash is, minus the 2, and we figured out the length of the first word, which is our product name. Now for region, it's in the middle. There's a mid function. We need to know the start, and we need to know the length of Midwest. So here's what we're going to have to do on the middle function. Let me show you, build it along the way. We're going to have to do 3 searches to figure out how all this works. So we're going to do a mid function. We haven't seen that yet. Mid. All right, so mid, we need the text. And what we need to do, we need to start at 5, 6, 7, 8. The M is at the position 9. So let me just type that in so you can see what we're trying to get to. And Midwest is 1, 2, 3, plus 4 more 7. Looks like it's 7 characters wide. All right, so you could type that in and think, okay, I've done it. It's easy, but it's not going to work on any of the other ones. It'll work on Midwest on the very first one, but it won't work if there's a different link there, and so we need to do it dynamically. We need to do a dynamic start point, and we need to do a dynamic number of characters. Now, so the start point, we're going to go back and edit the Midwest, so 9. We want to do a search, so we're going to do search. I'm going to start and close my parentheses and go back inside the parentheses so I can use my formula builder. So my formula builder for search is going to be, I'm going to search for the slash within the text, Crest Midwest, and we'll start at number 1. Now, let's see how it's functioning. Now, the problem is it's going to start at position 7. Remember, we want it to start at position 9. We don't want to include the slash, so look what happens. Slash, space, and then Midwest rather than ST, right? So we're going to add to the start number, we're always going to add for the slash and the next space, we're going to go back and add 2. So that's going to make it work where we start in the right place. And the Midwest starts in exactly the right place. Let's test it. Let's copy it down. So we have southeast, northwest, east. All of them start correctly. So let's go down here to the bottom. On east, it starts in position 8 rather than position 9. So that's how it works. So that one's working. Now, we need to figure out what's the best way to do the number of characters. How wide is the name Midwest, or how wide is the name East? Well, we need to do it dynamically. So what we're going to do is we're going to search for the colon minus where the slash is. Okay? So the slash is position 7, and the colon is position 7, 8, 9, plus like 16 or something like that. So if we did 16 minus 9, right? So essentially, if we did 16 minus 9, that would do it, right? But we're not going to do that every time. We want it to search for the 16th and search for the 9, right? Search for the position 16, search for the space here. So I'm going to replace the 16 with a search on the colon. So search, start my parentheses, close my parentheses, and I'm going to search for the colon, right? You'd have to wrap it in double quotes if you're typing in up here. If I'm using the formula builder, it'll know to put double quotes. Within the text, that cell, start at position 1. All right, so far so good. We've got Midwest, and I've got a search for, and I've replaced the 16 with a search for all that. And then I'm going to replace the 9, so I need to subtract. I take out the 9 and put in a search when I subtract. Search, start my parentheses and close my parentheses. And I'm going to look for the slash within that cell, start at position 1. Now, what we know is we need to make one modification. We know that we have the mid function. We're going to start at position 9, and it's 7 characters, right? Now, if we search on the slash, we're going to have 2 characters too much. So what we want to do is we need to make it at the very end. We're going to make an edit at the very end behind the last search function. If I just subtract out minus 2, that will work. So I've got 9 start position. I've got the number of characters. Whoops. Yeah, no, I did it correctly on the first one. So it is 7 characters. So I have Midwest. So here's what I have. My full formula is mid function. I search for the slash. And then add 2, and I search for the colon minus the slash minus 2. So I can copy this down. Should work correctly. So what we have is we have a dynamic way to figure out. So look at the second one. I've got 9 and then 9 characters. Southeast apparently is 9 characters. But when I get to the east is only 4 characters. So we have a nice way. Here's our formula. And we have a nice way to dynamically figure out the start and the length of the region name. All right, the last one we need to do the amount. The amount, we need to pull the 732 and the 345 and so on. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a right function, but we're going to do the length of everything minus where the colon is. All right, so let's do a right function. So our right function is point to crest Midwest, and then I'm just going to put number of characters. I'm going to put 5. Okay, and we'll certainly put a length and a search in there. So what happens if this is all the way down? It gets some of them, but some of them it misses. So we need to do it where we're searching length minus the search, right? So we're going to place this 5. Go back to the very first one. We're going to replace the 5 with a length function. And the length function is going to be just based on the entire, whoops, I need to be in the middle there. the length is going to be the entire cell, which is crest, space, slash, Midwest, so on. So this is the entire one. We don't want it to be. Apparently the length of this is 20 characters. So we'll go back and edit the length. We'll say minus the search. The search is going to be the search on the colon here in the cell, and the start number is still 1. Okay, that's not going to be quite it. We'll have a little bit of a problem here. The colon, we need to get rid of that extra space. So we're going to then at the very end, we can just subtract 1. So here we have, it pulls the 732. If we go all the way down, it pulls the 345, the 19.5, the 987.75, the 56. Now, there's one thing that we notice here, and it also is on the zip, but zip is really a label, not really a number that we use to multiply or anything. One thing we have here, these apparently are text numbers. Excel views them as text because they're left aligned. So this is just like a label, like the product is 732. But let's say this is a sales amount and we want to convert it to a dollar amount. Now here's what we can do, just a simple little addition to the formula. At the very end, let's either add 0 to it or subtract 0 or multiply times 1 or so on. So let's just do multiply times 1. Well, what that will do is Excel will view this as a text until you multiply something or add 0 to it, which doesn't change the number, but it says, wait a minute, this must be a number. So it's going to take it from a left-aligned text to a right-aligned number. So let's do that. I'm just going to multiply times 1. And so now it's 732. And if I copy this down, all the way down, then what I now have numbers, and then I can format those numbers for $sign. So now I might want to have them where they're $signs, where they're easy to read and we know that they're dollars rather than some label, a text number or whatever. All right, another couple little things to do, and we've finished 4 more columns. Let's do the trim function. It's super easy. Let's say we have Amazon and we have some extra spaces. You see there's an extra space here. There may be some extra spaces at the end. There's not here on this one. Overstock looks like there's some extra spaces. And so instead of going back and editing those extra spaces because it causes an alignment issue, we're going to use a trim function. The trim function, the only thing that it does is it takes out all extra spaces except one space in between 2 words. So the trim removes all spaces in text string except for single spaces between words. So we'll trim, point to Amazon, and then we can just copy this down. And now we have clean data. We've cleaned the data of all those extra spaces, and they're going to align correctly. So something was going on. We had just extra spaces, and it caused a problem in Excel. All right, let's do the date. Now we have this is like a standardized date format, 2020-0715. So that's more like a code rather than the way we would kind of view dates. So we're going to do this, a date function, left, mid, and right, and extract that and put it in a date format that we know. So in other words, the date format would be 7/15/20. So we want it to look like this, and we want to pull the date and show it. There's a couple of different ways to do it. We're going to do it with the date function, left, mid, right, and then we'll do the text function in just a minute. So let's start with a date function. Let me show you what happens on the date function. If we put in 2020, we put in the month is 07 and the day is 15, then we have that date. Now, let's dynamically put in the year. So we're going to do a left function. So left is going to be point to the date, and we know it's just 4 characters. So let's hit enter. So we know it's working. So it's 2020 is the year. The month, we'll go back and do that. We can do a mid function. It's the mid 2 digits, right? So we'll do a mid function here. Start and close my parentheses and go back into it. We're going to have the text, which is the 2020. We want to start at position 5, and the number of characters is only 2, and that will give us the month, which is 7. So 07 is the month. And the day we're going to do, instead of the 15, we're going to put in a right function. A right function, start my parentheses, and end my parentheses, and then in the middle I can point to the text. And the nice thing about this, since it's standard, then it's just going to be 2 decimals for the day. So now we have 7/15/20, 2020, and we can go all the way down. So this is 2020 08/08, 2020 12, the 12th day of October. So it is 10/12/20. All right, so that's how you can do it with date, left, middle, and right. So here we have, down here, we have date, left, middle, and right. Okay? All right, the other way we can do this is with a text function. Let me show you here. The text function, we can just do it. We can do text and then put it in a format where we have year, month, day, and then we need to multiply it times 1 to make sure that it knows it's a number. So let's do this. This is going to be the text function. So the text, we're going to point to the very first one. And formatted text, we're going to put double quotes. And then we have 4 digits. Whoops, they need to be zeros. So 0000, that's the year. And then a dash. And then we've got 2. That's the month, and then dash, and then 2 more. That's the day. We'll put double quotes at the end. So it's going to put as 2020-07-15. And it's going to recognize that as a date if we would make it times 1. Then it recognizes this as a number, right? It knows that's a number format, and then we can copy this down. That's an easier way to do it if you did the text function. Now the last one, Social Security number. Now you probably are not going to have a spreadsheet with Social Security numbers, but I'm just showing you can do special formats. So on this one, we're just going to point to the 376 number. And so it comes out to be, and I have, normally it would be general formatting. I already had this Social Security number formatting. So if we go down to the bottom, we have more number formats. And we do special. It already has like zip code formatted, or phone number formatted, or it has a Social Security formatted. So here you have the first 3 digits and then a dash, and then 2 digits and a dash. So there is our our Social Security code already formatted. We can go all the way down, and here's what we have. We have Social Security numbers that are formatted according to the special format in Excel. All right, so what we have is a way to extract all this data. You can do a lot of this in Excel. Here's what our formula looks like if you want to go back and edit and kind of do it yourself. So you can take a screenshot here or stop the video and see what our formulas look like. Hey, thanks for watching. See you on the next video.